What's up, you guys? My name is Daniel. This is Down to Play Games, and it's been a week. It's it's been a long week, and I apologize about the break in uploading. I've been I guess I've been trying to find the balance between working and recording and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a kind of a hard week, but we're through with it now, and I think I've gotten a better sense of how to manage myself. So, we're back with some Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, and I guess I have a little bit of an update for you guys, a channel update. So, I did a little bit of thinking, a little bit of reflecting, did some talking and chatting with some people who've been, I guess, advising and helping me with the channel, and um, I guess, I'm really happy with how things have been going so far. This playthrough has been really enjoyable, just even as early as it is. But one thing that I feel is, I kind of want to develop more of a unique direction, I guess. And so I'm gonna be trying to, I guess, solidify more of a very defined and specific goal for each playthrough, as opposed to just sitting down and playing video games. It's just so I guess, so there's a little bit more to what's going on, and also so that it's more of a enjoyable viewing experience for you guys. So, in short, I think with this playthrough, we're gonna do a full playthrough of Scholar of the First Sin. I don't know if it's gonna be 100% run, just because I don't know. I mean, I guess I could go for a 100% run and try to find all the bosses and stuff like that. It's just I'm actually not I'm not 100% familiar with all the areas / all the bosses of this game, so I believe I'd have to do some research to do that effectively. But we're gonna be interrupted by an NPC.
Have you business with me? The way you're under is all blocked up, you see, by this god-awful statue. Heavens above! Who thought it a good idea to put it there? Oof, I'm in quite the pickle now. See that statue? Gives me the willies. You stare at it for long enough, it starts to look alive. It just doesn't seem quite right. There are no craftsmen round these parts. Hey, you don't think a real live person was turned to stone, do you? See that statue?
So, this NPC is Benhard. We'll talk about him a little bit later. There's actually quite a bit of NPC dialogue in this beginning section, so I'll try to say what I want to say in as short as possible. So, basically, with this playthrough, I have an idea of culminating it with a review of Scholar of the First Sin from the perspective of someone who's played the vanilla Dark Souls 2. So, I'm going to be analyzing it a bit more closely, and if you can't tell, this is post-commentary, and I think I'm going to be trying this out for a little while, just because I feel like it's easier for me to, I guess, objectively analyze the game, and yeah, just try to accomplish that review aspect of what I want to do at the very end. So we're taking a little bit of a detour here. I decided, since we're playing as Zack Fair, and I don't know, I mean, we're not doing like a full-on cosplay of him, but as I like to be as accurate as possible, we're gonna be trying to get some pyromancies, but the NPC who sells the pyromancies is, well, I won't say much because we're going to encounter them pretty soon. But you have to come this way, which is a little bit, like I said, a little bit of a detour, a little bit of a different turn from where we've been. And what I just did there with the fire bombs. Normally, when you go up to the NPC that we're just about to meet, they're petrified at the switch right there. So when you unpetrify them and you activate the switch, then the enemies normally aggro on you, but then the doors close, so things get kind of crazy. But if you do it like that, then there's a little bit less to worry about, and we're going to meet this NPC here very shortly.
been petrified. Hard to speak. Give me a moment, please. I'm fine, I think. No. I'm fine. Really, I am. My name is Rosabeth. Thank you so much for rescuing me. Oh, you're that traveler. I still haven't thanked you. Well, I'm quite a hand at pyromancy. So perhaps you could consider this my thanks. I was attacked and turned to stone, I think. I owe you my life. If you had not come... Oh, I feel shameful wearing these rags. I hate to burden you further, as you've already saved my life. But just look at me. My clothes are in tatters. Do you have any clothing that you could spare? I'll take anything, whatever you don't need. I'm not particular when it comes to apparel. Anything at all will do. Just put it on the ground, and I'll change into it later.
So, Rosabeth is a pretty cool NPC. She has quite a lot to say. I mean, I guess to be fair, she's recovering from being petrified, but she has quite a lot to say. Well, I guess it's just the beginning part. I mean, the Emerald Herald, boy, she has a speech every time you try to talk to her just to level up. It's crazy. I mean, I guess okay, let's look at it this way. Dark Souls 2 and Scholar of the First Sin, it's interesting because at least to me, I don't feel it's fair to assess this game based on elements of the game that were present in vanilla Dark Souls 2. And the reason why I feel that way is because yeah, I was just making sure there wasn't anything important she was going to say. So the reason why I feel... Oh, wait. There is right here. Nope. Turn around. Turn around. Yeah, there you go.
What? Clearing the way was you doing, was it? Didn't think you had it in you, pal. No. That's not like it sounds, no. It was a pleasant surprise, that's all. Name's Benhart. Thanks to you, I can resume my journey. If we share the same path, I'm sure that we are going to meet again. I'll repay my debt to you in battle. I swear it, by my sword. The road ahead's going to be long, but I'm here to help. I am in your debt. It's a true man who honours his debts, and I'll see mine paid. I swear it by my ancient sword.
Really cool guy, Benhart. I'm kind of thinking I want to use his sword for this playthrough. And I've never actually gone through with this questline just because I always forget to talk to him at one point or another. So I think that's one thing I'll actually research online just to make sure I don't miss any parts of his quest, because I'd really like to use that sword. It seems, I mean, it looks like a Zack Fair kind of sword, and it's not a magic-based weapon like the Moonlight Greatsword is. So yeah, I think we'll give that weapon a shot. But in any case, as I was saying, I don't feel it's fair to judge Scholar of the First Sin on the same basis as I would Dark Souls 2, because Dark Souls 2 was developed, as a sequel to Dark Souls 1, obviously, and Scholar of the First Sin wasn't. Scholar of the First Sin was a redevelopment, or I guess a developer revisit to Dark Souls 2. And at least so far, I mean, I haven't experienced a whole lot of the game, of course, but from what I've seen so far, I've been telling a lot of my friends that I feel this is what Dark Souls 2 should have been. This is what Dark Souls 2 should have been on its first release, just because, Souls games, other than the lore. I mean, I'm trying to organize my thoughts because there's so many things I want to say, but the thing that I've always loved about Souls games is there are people who play them for the story, there are people who play them for the combat, there are people who play them for challenge runs, for PvP. Like, there's so many reasons why people play these games, and sure, from a lore standpoint, you could argue that this game was, I guess, lacking in at least in comparison to Dark Souls 1. Here is actually our first on-camera invasion, which is pretty cool. I don't know actually if this is an NPC invader or if this is an actual player invader. I couldn't really tell because I tried to emote and he just went in and attacked me. So, and then like here he goes in. I think he gets a couple hits on me right here. Come on. Yeah, and then we wheel around and I end up just R1 spamming him off the edge like this. So, yeah, there was our first invasion. I'd like to think it was a player invader just so I feel like, a little bit more self-assured about my ability in this game, but anyways, like there's so many reasons why people play these games, and at least to me, like, the lore is really powerful in Dark Souls 1, but the thing that really set the Souls series apart for me is the combat. And right here, I was really surprised at this. I was completely taken off guard. And he's got some sick moves, look at that. But yeah, I didn't like this. He's called the Pursuer, but in the vanilla game, you only fight him 3 times, and it's as a very predictable boss encounter. Whereas now, he's like a reoccurring enemy, which I think is really, really cool. But with this game, like, the thing about Dark Souls 1 is I feel the boss design was absolutely superb in that game. And sure, the enemy and the level design was spectacular. But the thing with Dark Souls 1 is, with normal enemy encounters, it's really easy to manage aggro in a way that you're fighting everything one-on-one. It's a very duel-based game. Aside from Ornstein and Smo, of course. But outside of that, if you pull enemies or use ranged attacks or, just like manipulate enemy vision and point of view and things like that, for the most part, you can avoid like any confrontations that are more unfair than just a straight 1v1. And that's one thing that I really liked about Demon Souls is there's quite a few sections with patrolling enemies where it's really hard for you to avoid aggroing all the enemies at once. So it's not just, alright, I'm going to evade this guy's attack and then R1, 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 he's dead. It's, shoot, I have to manage stamina now, and I actually have to think about what moves I'm going to use in my moveset to best cater to the situation. And I felt that combat was just a lot of fun. And on another perspective, I feel it's a little bit more, for lack of a better word, realistic. Because, in a medieval setting, when you're storming the castle or whatever, like, any society that's not just totally brain dead is gonna have more than one guard stationed patrolling an area, And it makes sense for you to have to get past these guys either with stealth or just fighting more than one enemy at a time. And that's one thing that I really liked about what they've done with Dark Souls 2. Like, mind you, there are some areas like this with these dogs. You're fighting more than one enemy at a time, and it's like that in Dark Souls 2, in the vanilla game as well. But there's a lot more of that, and the combat, at least in this game so far, has been much more engaging, just because, like that, there's so many enemies and locations that you don't expect, so it's not just like, alright, I'm gonna look at this area from far away, see that there's a bunch of enemies and ready myself. It's, shoot, there have been so many encounters with enemies coming up behind me, I actually need to watch myself. So from that perspective, the combat has just been an extremely refreshing experience. My opinions of the combat so far, the enemy placement, has been extremely positive with Scholar of the First Sin. Excuse me while I drink some tea here. You know, that's also the nice thing about post-commentary. You can have a water bottle and a nice cup of tea sitting next to you, so you can get a little bit of a break as you're talking. Hold on. But yeah, and this guy right here, these enemies, that guy that's like crawling around and jumping at me and stuff, he seems to be a new enemy type. I think we first encountered one of them in No Man's Wharf, and these guys are freaking cool. They're like a mix of the mannequins and the four-arm leg dudes in No Man's Wharf. If you remember what I'm talking about, it's those guys with the super long front arms and they cause bleed and stuff. But they're like a mix of those two enemies, and they're really cool. I mean, they don't seem to be taking off a whole lot of damage, but new enemy types are always welcome to me. Now, the thing is, I guess one of my complaints so far is it's cool that they make the torch a bit more useful with, you know, the contrast and the brightness of these areas, but at least to me, I find it kind of annoying just because, like, I don't know. I've always been a fan and an advocate of, like, player autonomy and the power of the player to decide. Just because I feel like that's the point of distinction between video games and other types of media. Because, you know, especially if you look at entertainment media, there's like, you know, there's books, TV shows, movies, musicals, plays, operas, there's music, and there's so many different types of music at that too. But a lot of the other, if not all the other types of entertainment media are kind of, I guess, sharing or providing you a unique story experience, whether that's an actual story or just like an emotional experience. But a lot of those other types of entertainment media, they have this story or this idea that they want to share with you, as opposed to bringing you into this story or idea and having you decide your own path, which is what I feel is what a good game does well. Here, there's just some insane frame rate issues. I don't know what was going on. The Lost Bastille seems to be crazy. I almost rolled off the edge right there. I was freaking out just because the frame rate was unbearable. I apologize about this, guys. This is actually another thing that I was trying with post commentary, seeing if running Audacity and Fraps at the same time was the reason why, but I don't think it is. I think it's just Fraps and whatever's going on. And it's really weird because when I was at school and I was recording Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 videos, I didn't have any issues. And then there was something that I've been doing some... Oh yeah, that was pretty smooth right there, swapping the lock-ons to exchange the hits to stagger them. And right here, frustrating. Really frustrating. I obviously I didn't know about this because this is a blind playthrough, but you need a fragrant branch of yore to progress. And this kind of goes along with the darkness thing that I was talking about. Like, sure, it's cool that the torch is more useful, but frankly, it's annoying. Like, the fact that we can't progress because we don't have a fragrant branch of yore, because we decided to use it to get pyromancies instead. The fact that you need to use the torch to be able to progress because you can't see right in front of you. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, I was checking my inventory just in hopes of finding something. Oh, no. Actually, what I was doing was, I was checking my inventory to make sure I had a Pharaoh's Lockstone, because I got an idea of a different way we could progress, and I think I realized that I had an Estus Flask shard that I haven't used yet. But in any case, going back to what I was talking about earlier with games and how they are unique, the thing is, at least to me, a positive gaming experience has always been tied with an immersive world with real characters, where you have somewhat of a say and some form of autonomy in, I guess, leading your own path. And that's one thing that I enjoy immensely about the Souls series, because they have this lore setup, they have these characters, and sure, you know, I guess you could argue that there is a linear path through the game where you're starting in the beginning area, where maybe in this game it's Majula or things betwixt, and you're ending up fighting the last boss, which I guess in the grand scheme of things is a linear progression. But if you look closely into these games, there's so many different paths you can take. Like the Lost Bastille, this area is a perfect example of that, because as we're about to see, the fact that we don't have a fragrant branch of yore isn't totally condemning to our progress in this area. And I really like that about Souls games, and I wish there were more games that did that. And there are actually, I need to correct myself there. There are quite a few games that offer that level of player autonomy that makes for a really unique experience. And I feel like the balance between narrative and player autonomy isn't just totally limited to like level design or things like that. I think just any kind of decision that you leave up to the player is a way to achieve that, and is a positive thing. Because like okay, I actually haven't played any of the interactive story games before, but my roommate from the last school year, he played through The Wolf Among Us, and his experience was very positive with that game. And the thing that I find really interesting about that is it's another type of genre within video games, because it's not quite a novel, but it's not quite a game either, because it's kind of like a hybrid or a mix between both, because there's a given story, but you have these choices that affect the overall direction of the story. And I find that really interesting, because it's not like a game where you're fighting enemies or solving puzzles or you know, like managing a business or stuff like that. You're just clicking on dialogue choices or path choices, but in that sense it's still immersive because of how well the story is written, because of how well the characters are written, and because of that aspect of, wow, I have a choice in what's going on. And we get exploded by this guy again, really annoying. But that's one thing that I really miss about games, to be honest, because you guys know the Uncharted series. I thought that series was really cool when I first played it, but then when I was going to do a second playthrough to unlock some more of the optional achievements, I guess I had a little bit of a wake-up call, because I didn't realize just how scripted that game is. You're climbing up a path, and the path is outlined in white for you. Like, the rest of the rock wall is gray, whereas the path that you're going on is white. It looks like you can jump and travel and explore more areas, but you can't. And that just totally turned me off from playing that game anymore, because it's a one-time experience, like so many of the movies that come out in the theaters these days. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I feel games are the only way that that stories have replayability, that stories have, you know, this element of, wow, I want to revisit this world, because there are books that I've read several times over, there are movies that I've watched several times over, and I feel like this is just a general thing in like how good a developer is at telling a story. Here I was just trying to save a little bit of durability, but I was like, whatever, just hit the wall with the sword. And I guess that's one thing that's been on my mind a lot lately, storytelling. Because, and this is where I guess I'm gonna go a little bit of like a nerd kind of a rant, but if you look at the history of entertainment, when you start off with verbal stories, and then you have plays and musicals and books, and then you move on from there and you get movies and music. Well, I guess music's been around for a long time, but I get tricked by this stupid message. But the thing that really just amazes me about storytelling is what captivates people is essentially the same thing, regardless of what medium it is. It's like the feeling that you are in the world of the story, that you are in interaction, direct interaction with the characters. It's not so much I'm watching something happen, but it's I'm there experiencing this happen. And that's what good stories do, you know? And that's what I feel like games could do to a degree that is unique and I guess separated from other types of media, because there's so much more of that interactive aspect, because you're actually playing and engaging with this game, that there's so much more potential for you to build this kind of, like, the player is building his or her own story. The player is creating this world. The player is really engaging with and making their own experiences. And what I feel like is just incredible storytelling is when different people can look at the same thing and come away with different experiences and different interpretations. Like, you and I could play Dark Souls 1 and come away with different ideas and interpretations on what this NPC said or what this item description means. And that's what I feel is the mark of good storytelling. And yeah, so I don't know. I actually don't remember how we got here, but we're getting close to the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. But yeah, just wanted to update you guys on what's going on, say hi to the gargoyles, and we're gonna pick it up from here. I know it's a little bit awkward because we're doing this area, the Salt Fort, before we're actually doing the quote-unquote normal thing to do in the Lost Bastille, but we'll figure things out. In any case, guys, my name is Daniel. This is DownToPlayGames. Thanks for joining me, and we'll rally things up, and I will see you guys next time. Come on. Come on. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, I wanted to find a good background. See ya.